Right. Now, you know what kind of newspaper Gay News is now?
Yes,
you weren't too sure last time.
I don't think I'm still sure.
I've been a bit concerned about the constant sort of little snipes and aspersions on the character of Madge. It's almost as though Madge has been giving you her all for many, many years, and you just sort of treat her like dirt. Is that true? Or
First
not?
of all, darling, who am I speaking to, and would you mind addressing me by my name?
Gay News.
Is that your name or your newspaper?
I identify
personal
totally.
Your personal identity
Yes.
is in shadows, is it, darling?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, that's why I'm having to talk into this locked wardrobe. Well, my name is Dame Edna Everage, and I'm not ashamed of it. And you are suggesting that I'm on my high horse now, Gay News readers, your little editor, or whatever he is, office boy, whoever he may be, who refuses to come out into the open and declare himself, is trying to suggest that I oppress my bridesmaid Madge Wilson. Now, first of all, what do you know of our intimate relationship, darling? To what extent have you followed my career with Madge?
Well, it seems as though while Norm and Madge's husband were away fighting the war, you and Madge got very close.
Very
and
close.
had a sort of a physical, emotional relationship.
I
which
don't
seemed to...
quite know what you mean by that.
You share the same bed.
Surely, occasionally, because of the nature of my job as an itinerant artiste,
But you were a
travelling
housewife
around
then.
from time to time, we are obliged by necessity to share the same accommodation. But so was Jesus and the wise men. And the animals. Now, they were all in the stable, but you're not suggesting that bestiality took place, I hope. You weren't expecting me to come up with that one, were you? Mind you, you probably wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong with bestiality. There's probably bestiality news you're also a correspondent of.
Yes, but when you went to the Greek
Madge
islands...
and I must say, it's the Greek islands.
Yes, Lesbos.
The island of Lesbos. You know, I didn't know that they used to get up to, well, how can I put it, hospitals. I didn't realise that the maidens of Lesbos used to play hospitals. Now, how was I to know that? Madge, of course, was because, how can I put it, she was less popular at dances, stayed at school an extra year. And so she may have learned a little bit more than I did. Certainly what she made up for in learning, I made up for in looks and wit. She was always tremendously jealous of me, and who knows what mischief she spread to you. I don't know, you probably had poison pen letters from Madge or something. I wouldn't put anything past her, dipping her pen deep into the Nivea cream and scrawling your letters. Anyway, we went for a holiday, and as it happened, we went on a cruise around the Greek Isles, and I noticed her getting very excited as Lesbos hove into view. She sort of kept handing a little Kodak Instamatic, you know, to some of the sailors and saying, get us together, you know. Whenever there was a sign that says Lesbos, she kept saying, oh, we must get together with this in the background. I thought, what's she driving at, this woman, you know? I thought, well, there's something at the bottom of this. And unfortunately, there was. There was the night... Well, of course, Madge's skin has always been a terrible problem. She's as dry as a Dead Sea Scroll. The skin, it's like... Well, it's like a husk, you know. She sounds like a bit of old acrylic chiffon, you know, when she walks along. You know what I mean? By the way, you probably don't. So I'm sure there's one or two of your readers who would. And she looks like a man sometimes, Madge. You know, she's had her face lifted so many times. Poor woman. With her skin, I mean, it's the yawning pores, the face of 1,000 nostrils. When she blows her nose, she probably doesn't know which two to blow. She's got a cold. However, where was I? Oh, she buys the Nivea cream. She has an obsession for Nivea cream. She thinks the world's Nivea resources are running out. She stockpiles it. She panic buys it. If you see a woman, you know, in the Fulham High Street, wherever you all live, down at the World's End, probably, pushing a drum of Nivea cream along the street, that'll be Madge. You know, she pours it into herself till she looks like a brandy snap. You know them? That's what she looks like. She's so slimy with it, you know. The other night...
This is your best friend.
I said, Madge, there's a spare room. I can talk about it because she is my best friend. She caught my bouquet at the back of the neck, as a matter of fact.
What were the flowers
I
in
think
the
I
bouquet?
wiped out an entire nerve centre. Well, they weren't just glads. I had a few ranunculus, philodendrons, and a couple of glads. In those days, I hadn't seized upon the glad. I hadn't made it the fashionable flower that it
Was
is.
it an expensive wedding or not?
It was like a weed, a gladdy then. It grew in Australia. Look, it was honestly something you'd say, oh, must get some poison for those glads. You know, sometimes after a little rainfall, you know, at night, the man running to work, you know, he'd have to fight his way through a forest of them down the front path. They would have grown up overnight, you know. Dutch glad disease, of course, saw to that after a few years, and they became a rarity in Australia, the Dutch glad disease and the neck rot and the thrip. Thrip is something, you know. Of course, the penicillin has changed all that. It's probably changed a lot of things for your readers. But in those days, of course, it was a painful process. You probably wouldn't remember. But they had to kind of, siphon things up the gladdies to fix them up. Oh, it was really dreadful. You'd see them in the mornings queued up outside the clinic. Did you know, by the way, that the gladiolus is a bisexual hermaphrodite, horticulturally?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a horticulturalist scientist the other day, and he said that they're self-pollinating. I'm glad I've never seen them at it. That's all I can say. You know, at night I just close the door and I just blow them a little kiss. I say, well, now, I won't be popping in again until tomorrow morning. And, you know, I think they appreciate it, you know. I think my home for gladdies is the equivalent of a boarding house in Hove. It was the equivalent of a well-run Hove hotel, as far as broad-mindedness goes.
Anyway, if we can go back to Lesbos, did you actually go and see any of the ancient
If we can go back
sites?
to Lesbos, there's a line. But let's go back to Lesbos for a minute, Dame Edna. I think I put in your italicised quote. I found it just like any... To me, the Greek islands are much overrated. I don't know if you've ever been down there, but...
Did you go to Mykonos?
I've never been down anywhere. I said to Madge, I don't think we could go down there, darling. I'm certainly not going to. But she beckoned and I followed. Mykonos? No, it seemed to had to be Lesbos. Samos I was a bit interested to see. But I felt much of a muchness, in fact.
And were there-
Samos was...
Were there many female couples on Lesbos?
Not at all, as far as I can see. They just seem to be the usual Germans, Tedeschi or whatever they're called, climbing in and out of their buses, pushing people around, being glared at by the locals. I still don't think those Germans are liked much. There are a lot of people running around with something called, I don't know, it must have been a book, it must have been something to do with a film they'd made there. I went to, you know, how when you go to Navarone, they've all got copies of the Guns of Navarone. A whole lot of people running around with a thing called, reading a thing called Spartacus. I think it's some movie they've made there. Anyway, they're running in with this, in and out of cafes, holding this screenplay, I presume it is. However, I don't know whether Spartacus was made on Lesbos or not. I don't know whether anything has been made on Lesbos in recent times. But it was all pretty Greek to me. But Madge just wanted to be there. And I, for the first time, realised there was something strange about the woman. You know, I realised that she was trying to evoke classical mythology in an entirely perverse way. Particularly since we've got this enormous suite in London now. And she insists on climbing in beside me, covered from head to foot with Nivea cream. You know, I had a horrible dream the other night. I dreamt my husband was better. I dreamt the doctor said he could come home for the weekends, and I was just getting a second opinion when I woke up. I got such a fright, I flung my arms around the nearest thing. It was Madge.
And how did she respond?
Well, she was so slimy with Nivea, she shot out of my embrace, like a cake of, what do you call it, cake of Lux. Shot across the room, like a greasy rocket. You know, she anointed from head to foot with the thing. Mind you, it won't be a thing for the woman. The woman's skin is still like, as I say, like a Dead Sea Scroll. But there it is, she tries, she struggles, and I suddenly realised that, you know, it wasn't just, there's something, it's loneliness though. I think it's not that the woman has this, you've probably got a word for it, this normal...
Feeling.
Feeling. She starved for affection. Her husband died when she was an attractive young woman, but her husband, Doug, also, I used to get on very well with Doug. We used to play tennis together. And my husband's service was never his strong point. And when he passed away, he said to me, you know, if Madge ever looks at another man, make her life a living hell. And I've kept my word to that man. You know, sometimes it's hard because I've got a soft spot for Madge. I know she's got one for me.
But Kenny doesn't like Madge, does he?
My son
Why not?
can't stand Madge.
Is he jealous, do you think? Jealous?
Oh, well, Ken and I are very, very close.
Do you think perhaps you're too close, really?
I
do you
wonder
think
if
for his own
I've
good?
seen other mothers and their sons, and I've seen an unhealthy closeness. I think some mothers overprotect. I don't know if you've had letters from some of your readers complaining about this. I think generally some people can't see the wood for the trees. I think overprotected sons and daughters, for that matter, often can't see it. They can see it in others. And it is possible that there is something about my son and my own relationship that I can't see that others could see a mile off, but I doubt it. Because I think it's marvellous that you see, with my parents, there were things that happened in my little chemistry, my emotional chemistry, that I wished I could have told my parents.
Like?
I used to think, I wish I could go to them. I remember once, I won't say it, but I mean, it was a little, anyway, I wished I could have told them, and I didn't. And that's, sometimes I wake up at night and I think, a little cold, but I'm still a kiddie again, you know, without being able to divulge those intimate things. And yet Kennington, you know, comes to me, sometimes he's doing too many things, too much. He's full of energy, like most Australians. And he's doing this, well, he's practically through this couturiers course, and a million things. I mean, he wants to be, in 1 minute he wants to be an airline steward on Qantas. The next, you know, it's, you know, someone on the Arts Council, meeting all those poets, you know. Of course, Christopher Isherwood is his favourite writer. Have you ever? I haven't read him, I'm afraid. Christopher and His Kind was a book Ken was reading when he left. And as a matter of fact, I gave him for him for Christmas. Chrissy, I said, it's a little your Ishy present, I call it. And I'm thinking of doing a show called Edna of Her Kind. By the way, I haven't met Christopher Isherwood, but he was in America, at Santa Monica he lives now. He looks a bit like a kind of, well, can you imagine a drawing David Hockney would have thrown away? That's what he looks like. Anyway, old Chrissy Isherwood. Christopher Isherwood is his favourite writer. Didn't he write that play, I Am a Catamite? Did he?
I think it was I Am a Camera.
I Am a Camera,
yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
I think my mind is still on biblical things. Anyway, he wants 1 minute to be a member of that set, the 30s, you know, Sally Bowles, Mr.
He's still
Norris.
into nostalgia.
He's heavily into nostalgia.
Still.
And of course, soundtrack albums. Can you stop him with his... He wants to get Korngold, of course he loves. Have you heard of Korngold? Eric Wolfgang Korngold. I must say this, you know, the King's Row, the theme from the King's Row Idol, and Art Deco. He adores Art Deco and Art Nouveau. He said to me, Mum, what do you want for Christmas? Do you want something in Art Deco, Art Nouveau? I can't make up my mind. I said, I'll have an Art Deco on one ear and an Art Nouveau on the other. And you know, he's got one of those little silver figures holding up a ball. Which is very unusual, isn't it? Gives an unusual touch to his flat. Gloria Graham he met the other day. He buttonholed
He's over here, is he?
She is.
No, but is he?
Gloria Graham is a woman.
But if he met her over here, then he must be over here.
Yes, he
Where
must.
is he?
Your
Where is
mind
he?
is certainly working well this morning.
Could we not meet him?
Well,
We've heard so much
have an
about
exclusive
it.
interview with him. I'll have to find him. You can't see him today. But perhaps you could run this as a series. The Everage family confesses.
But is he still living with Cliff?
Well, there was a terrible business about Kenny and Cliff. I thought that it was a very, very nice friendship, you know, because they'd started this shop where they sold knickknacks, you know, a bit of Nouveau, a bit of Deco, and the odd plant, indoor plant. And, you know, as a matter of fact, they were hanging from the ceiling in bars because you had to crawl around. So if you stood up too quickly, you could get strangled by a busy Lizzie. Anyway, it was full of these things holding up balls. And and they sold posters, Barbara Stanwyck posters and that type of thing. And it was called the Green Finger because it began as a sort of plant shop. And then they couldn't call it that because someone else had a shop called that, so they called it the Brown Thumb. Did you know that?
It was in the last interview you did.
Oh,
yeah.
was it? I don't often repeat myself, but if it's a good one, I do. Anyway, suddenly one day Kenny comes home and he's got his suitcase with him and his Art Nouveau under his arm and his soundtrack albums, and I thought to myself, something's happened there. And I said, what is it? Because I had a lot of time for Cliff. You know, he was really a nice cut of a man. You know, he's going to break a few hearts. He's going to make some little less very, very happy one of these days. Anyway, I said, now what is it, Ken? Is it a business thing? You know, because I can help. I'm a business person. I've got my little, you know, my little calculator on my watch. You know, I just have to give it a little tap and I know more or less what time it is in Melbourne. Anyway, and what the exchange rate is between the Australian dollar and the Belgian franc. And, you know, Kenny's got one that tells you whether it's legal in Poland. Anyway, well, the Pope would know that now, wouldn't he? He's probably got a cardinal to tell him. Probably two, one or two. Anyway.
But why did they break up? Why did they...
Well, I said, break up is a silly word to use. What do you mean? Why did their business partnership dissolve?
Well, they were very close. I mean, it was
close? These are words you're trying to put into my mouth? Close? They ran the same shop. They had the same accommodation upstairs.
But isn't it unusual for a man of Cliff's age to live with a man of Kenny's age?
I wouldn't have thought you would have thought so.
I don't.
No, well, why are you asking me? You'd like to think it's
no, but
unusual.
normally...
One minute you're trying to make it normal and legal, and the next minute you're getting all worked up.
So in other words, you're saying Kenny and Cliff are homosexual?
Why are these beads of perspiration breaking out on your brow? I'm not saying that.
But I thought you were a woman of the world.
A few years ago it was religion, now it's sex. You can think of nothing else.
I thought that you were open and honest about these things.
Open and honest? I think there are certain things which are rather more fun kept veiled. Do you? I think it's a bit boring when everything's in the open.
But don't you think...
I mean, why do we only have church on Sundays? Because it's more fun if you save yourself up.
But listen, if Kenny came out, say he's homosexual, you wouldn't get these threatening letters, would you? These anonymous letters.
Poison pen letters.
That's
yes,
right.
Who told you about them?
I read it in a magazine somewhere.
What sort of magazine?
Oh.
You probably saw a magazine with the letters cut out. You thought that's been used by the writer of the poison. Perhaps you could give us a clue.
No.
I mean, to get the Australian CID onto you.
Well, you immediately thought it was Norman. They were
I did. It was a suggestion. Just because my husband was having his prostate massaged and a physiotherapist, people were suggesting that he was playing hospitals with the physiotherapist. Now, of course, I've got the poison pen letters about Kenny. What kind of a person, really? Kenny would have told me, you know. This is what I'm saying.
Have you ever asked him, then?
Of course not. Has your mother ever said anything to you?
She has when I had her a copy of Gay News and said that's where I'm working, yes.
And what did she say?
She said, are you or aren't you?
Well, that must have been a difficult moment in your relationship.
But since then we've become more honest and open with each other. Don't you think it would be better?
I don't like the sound of that. I mean, do you think a man who works at the Financial Times hands his mother, so this is where I'm working, she says, are you or aren't you? I mean, really? Can you imagine? Or a person who's a compositor on The Lady. Or the farmer and stock breeder. Just because you work on a farmer and stock breeder doesn't necessarily make you an artificial inseminator.
Well, that, you see, just shows how... That's why we want to make it open and honest. You see,
you
so
may
people...
wish to. Do you suggest I go to my son, hand him a copy of Gay News and say, are you or aren't you?
I think that would be a good
I must say,
idea.
that horrible confrontation with Madge when he threw a copy of the... Luckily, it was a paperback of The Well of Loneliness right across the room. He said, are you or aren't you?
What did she say?
She couldn't say anything. It hit her right between the eyes. She was unconscious for 3/4 of an hour.
But with your influence in Australia, Dame Edna, don't you think that if your son came out as homosexual, it would help not only Australian gays, but gays all over the world?
They don't need any helping, I can tell you that. They've been helping themselves for years. I wouldn't be surprised if it became the Hamburg of the 20th century. This place is
Have you ever been to a gay club, Dame Edna?
Probably. I've got beginning to think I'm in one now. I thought it was the English-speaking union.
Why do these questions make you so uncomfortable?
Well, I don't know. Why do they... Really, because, darling, they seem to be an obsession of yours. Now,
it's because it's a gay
uncomfortable.
paper.
Now, look, darling, now just a minute. Hold your horses for a second. Your paper is a gay paper.
Yes.
Therefore, doesn't have news about anything. I mean, is it just a paper that sort of probes relentlessly into people's private lives?
Only if they want to be
Exactly.
probed.
If they wish to be probed.
But you're
There are
not
the
a woman,
probed
you're
and
a
the probers, aren't they?
You're a symbol,
There
you're
are
not
the
a human
probes.
being anymore.
I am not a symbol, I'm a person. Prick me and I bleed, darling. All I'm saying is this, that if my son Kenny had little problems with his whether he was or he was this or he wasn't that. He would tell me, and I believe, and I've been and I've seen a television show on it, and I've seen your magazine, which I think is delightful. I think for those who are that way inclined, it's excellent. Excellent. But I'm saying that if there was a problem, he would have sobbed at the end of my bed on it. You know, as I say, he comes in at all hours of the day and night. Now that he's living at home again, and now he's staying with me and Madge. That's what's forced Madge into my bed, because Kenny now has the spare room in the suite.
So she was only in it when you were cold, when the electric blanket fused before, but now she's in your bed all the time.
You've done your homework, haven't you, darling? She is in my bed all the time because Kenny is in her bed, and they won't speak. Can you imagine their discomfort when I had to introduce Princess Margaret to them the other night? I thought, well, I hope they're on speaking terms with her.
And did Princess Margaret like Kenny?
They got on like a house on fire.
How about Madge?
I think that they clicked. They really
She's
did.
supposed to know a lot of gay men, isn't she, Princess Margaret?
Here we go. I don't think it means a thing. She knows Prince Philip too, doesn't she? I don't know he's a Greek, I don't think. The Isle of Lesbos means much to him.
But don't you think that
Now,
in
he was
those...
stooping over my bed. He would have said something the other night, except his mouth was full of pins. See, he'd been running up a little, taking up the hem of this dress, as a matter of fact. You see the hem has been done.
Yes.
Hand done, all hand done. As a matter of fact, Madge did that. She's quite good for something, you know. She's very good with a needle, very clever with a macrame. Very good with a macrame. As a matter of fact, she looks, with the superfluous hair, she looks like macrame on her legs. Just a woolly woman. Oh, but she's a sweet old thing, you know. And I think, you know, every now and then I feel a gush of affection. I think from the first time she was a bridesmaid of mine, I gave her a bit of a hug on the steps of the church. I could have turned her. I think it could have. You know, and I think, as I say, she's starved for affection. Whereas my son is very, very adjusted. And as I say, if there was a problem, he would have said it. Now, do you think we mothers should go to their sons and try and say, now, come on,
Well, you
out
see,
with it,
I
out with it.
wonder, in fact,
Here's a copy of this, here's a copy of it, are you, aren't you?
if mothers
now, I know
of
a
gay...
woman said to me, her son, a friend of mine, now I'm talking about Cyril Elliott. Cyril Elliott's son, Craig. Now, Craig, he's a perfectly strong, healthy-looking person. He goes to the gym, always in and out of the sauna. And he, perfectly nice sort of a boy. And he said, came up to his mother and he said to her this that you're saying to me. Sybil, she came to me, the woman was in her pieces. She was normally a strong type of a woman, you know. And she said, where did we go wrong? I said, well, darling, he was just teasing you. This is the young, you know. This is the young. She said, where did we go wrong? She said, I said, he isn't. I said, well, go back and tell him to try harder. That's what I said to say to her. I think that's what mothers should say when their sons come in with this nonsense. I said, have you tried? Just try a bit harder. I said, well, I mean, I said, what did you say to him? She said, well, I was shocked for a moment. I said, well, you didn't get it from my side. Well, as a matter of fact, and this is between ourselves, her husband, I knew him well in the old days of the dances, you know, and he, well, there was something, you know, something, particularly it was noticeable in the foxtrot.
He didn't respond to you as other men do.
I didn't feel the same, well, particularly in the slow foxtrot. He didn't feel the same as some of the others.
Perhaps he was a gentleman.
He might have been, yes. He was always a gentleman. I think that was really his problem. Anyway, Craig came along, you know, very late in the marriage. And, you know, he said this, I think he really upset Sybil. And she said to him, it was funny, her words to him were, you know, you didn't get it from my side. I think that was an indictment, really, in a way, of her husband.
But it seems to me that, say, if Kenny got married, there might be this jealousy, this strife that you have towards Joylene.
Yes, Joylene.
I mean, don't you think in a way you're encouraging Kenny?
I'm encouraging Kenny, as a matter of fact, to wait for a while. I don't want him to rush into anything. Well, he's 23, I suppose. I have to do my homework there. Just a minute, I'll just tap my little computerised Cartier. Yes, he'd be about 23, 24. Well, I mean, I'm not supposed to say. He said not to tell. He's as old as his tongue and a little older than his teeth. And I don't want him to rush into anything, you know. And there's but this is criticism of you. There is again this obsession about getting married and not getting married and telling people what it is. This desire to run around, For example, do people of the other persuasion, my persuasion, the hets, as I believe you call them, do they run around telling people?
Yes, they wear wedding rings and they get married and they talk about their husbands and their children all the time.
Yes, but why do you people want to talk about your husbands and your children
because we like
getting
them.
married? But I mean, do you believe in gay marriage, darling? Isn't that a sort of parody of the hets world?
But if people want to, then it makes them happier, then fair enough.
But isn't that an attempt to parody the world of the het?
That's right.
I think perhaps it's rather a mature thing. Certainly my marriage was immature. I don't know what would have happened if I had held off any longer. I don't think I would have gone strange in any way. I think, by the way, though, to be quite broad-minded and open about this, that there's something a little bit funny about all of us. There's a good deal more funny about you than there is about me, I'll say that. But I don't think I would read a paper that is exclusively devoted to my sex life. I would want other tidbits in it,
Cookery and things
yes,
like that.
cookery
We have cookery in gay news.
But you don't say this is cookery this is our cookery and you must stick to your cookery. I mean,
no, it's anybody's cookery.
Darling, I believed, and this is for your readers, that the world is dividing into enough little segments. I think friendship is what we want. We all to get together. I think there are too many little divisions and sects. You see, I think we should all more or less bridge the gulf. That's what I try to do. That's why I'm pleased that a lot of your folk come to my shows and see me as a bit of a crusader. Because I am in my funny old-fashioned way. I am a crusader for morality, for niceness to people. Niceness is the title of one of my wonderful songs.
You're also singing a song about Madge, aren't you, on the new album?
My bridesmaid and
That's right. It's a love song, isn't it?
It is.
Really?
Well, yes, it is. There's a love between David and Jonathan, Natalie Barney and Romaine Brooks. The love that will gladly sing its name. The love of a bridesmaid for a bride, and a bride for a bridesmaid. This is very wholesome, quite wholesome.
Fine. Do you think we'll ever get to meet Madge? Because I feel that we almost know
her. I hope she would
but
come today, but she's having her papilloma removed. It has got very, very horny. Is the word, I think. Very pronounced.
Where is it, actually, in the body?
Well, it was actually located in a place which, if she were wearing a Kiss My Body chiffon, it could have really given someone the wrong ideas. That's all I can say.
Do you find that...
a horny papilloma under a mock ocelot chiffon Kiss My Body frock. Mid-calf frock. Teamed with a recently culled mock ocelot PVC raincoat.
You didn't manage to see...
Look none too becoming with a papilloma pressing beneath it. Pressing through the pantyhose.
You didn't manage
She used to ladder her pantyhose getting it over her papilloma.
Your new act, you're not going to base it at all on...
I think human sexuality is basically humorous. I think I got the giggles on our wedding night. Isn't it awful?
Did you know much about sex when you got married?
Well, my mother had given me a book called Human Growth. I hadn't read it, but as a matter of fact, she wanted to give it to me. I kept seeing her about to give it to me. And like many of us, I looked away, the dreadful moment when my mother was going to tell me or press something upon me. Whenever people tried to press anything upon me, I used to turn away. That probably is half your problem. Anyway, the thing is, turn away once too often, you could get to like it, couldn't you? However, the thing is that I sort of knew, and I didn't, like many of my generation, because there was none of this experimentation, before marriage. In your case, of course, 75 years of it. But, if you're lucky. However, I was pretty inexperienced, but the thing is that the advantage of it was, of course, that so was Norm. And I got the giggles, I must say. I couldn't stop laughing. I said, it seems so silly, you know. I thought this is where babies come from.
Were you naked or not?
I'm sorry?
Were you naked?
No. I was wearing, as a matter of fact, a mock ocelot negligee. Certainly no, I wasn't naked, darling. I don't think...
Was Norm? Have you ever seen Norm
Norm
naked?
was wearing... No, I haven't. I think that's the secret of our marriage. Successful marriage. We've never seen each other so naked.
And of course you live apart now, don't you?
Well, yes, we do, but I think that's one of the things that's brought us closer in a funny sort of way. There's a wonderful intimacy, you know, when I'm breathing on his intensive care window. He writes little messages on the you know, I write little messages. Of course, they're back to front. It looked like Russian to him, I suppose. It takes him another 6 months to read what I've said. But he's on his drip. He's got the drip. And, of course, he's got his artificial prostate machine pumping away there.
You know, you found his prostate now, have you? Because you weren't too sure where it
Well,
was.
no, we're looking for a donor. There's a possibility that if he could. They're waiting for someone who's going to be perhaps killed in an accident with the right matching prostate. A bit difficult, though.
But then he'll come home, won't he?
Yes, that is a worry.
What's going to happen to Madge?
No, it is just a worry about the accommodation. Now, please don't think anything. But, you know, Madge she's so dependent on me now, this woman. Quite honestly, I find it almost intolerable most of the time. But it's cruel.
She seems to have a hold over you.
No, she's just dependent on me. I couldn't break that woman's heart. Where would she go?
Well, you put your mother in a home.
Well, no, she's beautifully looked after in this home. She's got more or less everything she needs. Well, she's got all that we left.
But you burnt all her clothes,
Most
didn't
of
you?
the things, yes. Well, no, it would be wrong to send her off with those things. It would make the other patients jealous if they'd seen the stuff my mother had. There's a song about it, by the way.
On the new album,
I think we should have a competition in your magazine and give away albums as prizes. I think that's a good idea. Not many albums, just a few.
What would the competition be, though?
Well, it could be things like, what was Madge's husband's name? What was Madge's maiden name? You know, things like that. Where was Madge also born? Things like that. How many times have Madge and Edna done it?
What's Kenny's favourite singer?
I'm referring, of course, to their trip round the Greek Isles. Kenny's favourite singer, he loves Betty. Is it Betty or Bette Midler?
Bette Midler, I think it is.
Bette
yes.
Midler. He adores her. I don't see the point of her. Isn't it a silly thing to say? I mean that. There are places I don't see the point of. Los Angeles I don't see the point of. To me, it's a pointless sort of a place. You get there and you think, where is Los Angeles? They say, this is it. You think you're in the suburb. It's like coming to Acton. They say, this is London. You know, this is Piccadilly Circus and Acton High Street. That's what Los Angeles is like. You say, well, where is all? They say, here we are. And you just see sheds along the side of the road. You know, I see no point in it. In the same way as I don't see the point of Bette Midler. To me, just to me personally, myself personally speaking, I don't speak for the world. Well, I do, but don't quote me on that. She, to me, is a little bit COMMON, a tiny bit. And I think some of your readers agree with me. I know a lot of your readers don't, because she's got a big following amongst those beyond the pale, as we used to call them. Christopher and his kind. Mind you, in Christopher and his kind, Kenny told me they used to go and see Mickey Rooney movies. Isn't that funny? Stephen Spender and Christopher Isherwood used to go along and watch Mickey Rooney movies like they used to go and now look at John Travolta movies, or what Cliff can do. And I do.
Cliff and Kenny are still friendly, are they?
Well, sometimes they go to the pictures. I try to bring them together again. I said, what about a night out at the drive-in? We've got those in Australia. The weather favours it, you see. And we went to see Grease the other day.
Because Kenny looks like
John
Travolta,
Travolta's a bit
doesn't
like
he?
an oil slick. He could attack my undefended south coast any day he likes. John Travolta looks a bit like a waiter, doesn't he, from Soho, one of those restaurants. Well, he looks like a sort of, yes, anyway. John Travolta is the Mickey Rooney, really, de nos jours. I suppose he's very popular, but who's Kenny's favourite singer? Bette Midler, I suppose. Gloria Graham, his favourite actress, Barbara Stanwyck. Closely followed by Jane Withers. Have you heard of her? Jane Withers? I can't even remember her. Though someone pointed her out to me at the Polo Lounge of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Well, as a matter of fact, no, it wasn't. Actually, I heard someone say, Joan, that's Edna. People actually pointed me out to Joan Withers. That's something, isn't it? Shirley MacLaine does a one-woman show, because mind she's got a lot of jugglers in the first half, hasn't she? I think she doesn't do it all herself,
No,
whereas
no.
I do most of my. Barry Humphries helps. He hasn't come much into our reckonings, has he?
No. I was going to ask you, your show
He's a
didn't
funny
do
person.
very well in America, did it?
No, it didn't.
Why do you think that was?
My show in New York didn't do as well as we all hoped it would, mainly because the critic of the New York Times didn't like it. But there is a type of man who, when he sees a woman as glamorous as me, gets a funny twinge, I think. And a very silly rumour was passing around that it was Barry Humphries who was dressed up as me. Now, can you imagine anything like that? Stifled. I don't think Barry Humphries, for a second, is sexually secure enough to dress up as anything. Now, that's an awful thing to say about a person who's a good little character.
Who isn't here to defend himself?
Well, that's the only reason I'm saying it. Is there anyone at the English-speaking union here to defend themselves?
But it was your first taste of failure, wasn't it, Dame Edna? How did
Now,
you cope with
now
that?
listen to me, Sonny Jim. Listen to me, little Sonny Jim. That's quite... You might put one thing into someone's mouth, but you're not going to put words into mine. I did not... I had the worst review of my career, and the best, from Rex Reed, the New York Daily News. He adored me, and little Richard Eder didn't. But if you get a bad review in the New York Times, you might as well forget it. As it happened, I lasted my season, and I was sufficiently confident that I would take on in America to go back. I'm going backwards next year, tackling it all again. Because when I looked out, I was wearing my denim. Now, I wonder if any of you readers remember my denim look
Yes,
that I
indeed,
wore on
and the
the show.
espadrilles, yeah.
Now, when I looked out of the audience, there were those New Jersey women, all in the denim, because the denim look is caught on in America. Guess who spearheaded it? They looked exactly like me in 1976. And they need someone to identify with, now that Lucille Ball has passed her prime. Is that an awful thing to say? She's not a member of the English-speaking union either. So, and Joan Withers is more or less, well, and Gloria Graham, after that unsuccessful facelift, well, she says it's been fixed up. I wouldn't say. Not to me. To me, I would say the repair was a rough one. But I think she's got a wonderful sense of humour, little Gloria Graham. And tell you another favourite of Kenny's, and that is Joan Blondell. Loves her. Why do so many of the younger generation like people like Joan Blondell? People like that. It's nostalgia, of course, isn't it? Again, it's a nostalgia thing. Anyway, you must hurry and see my show while I'm still playing the part of Dame Edna. Because I can divulge to you now, you must see the original cast. Gay news readers, hurry and see the original cast of A Night with Dame Edna. Because poor Shani Wallace and Judy Dench take over my part. Judy and Shani, in more or less either order, are going to be taking over from me. The rumour had it that Tennessee Williams might be taking over. That is entirely false, that rumour, little Tennessee.
You've
We're
met him,
leaving
have
the
you?
advertisements, well, no, not really, but I feel I have. I'm a bit like, it was suggested that I might play the part, there's a musical version of A Streetcar, and I could play the little Vivian Lee role. I wouldn't mind doing that either. There are lots of parts I'd like to play. Phaedra by Racine. And of course I'm doing my own one-woman show. In America I did Zelda, I did a campus tour. That's not generally known. I did a tour of the campuses. Someone said I was a campus thing ever to have happened in America. But I did a tour of the campuses called Zelda, based on my favourite Art Deco couple, Scott and Zelda Joplin. And the Algonquin set. Probably your readers aren't into is the expression, the Algonquin period. They're probably still toying with Bloomsbury and Fitzrovia. I thought I could do Virginia, based on Virginia Woolf.
Now, are you going to bring out her bisexuality in the show?
What? Here we go again. You think
It's a
her
very
relationship with
important fact.
Leonard was a man. Are you suggesting Leonard was a woman?
She had other relationships as well.
Well, we all had friendships, have we not? Other relationships with whom, darling? Tell me.
With friends,
According to who? Who told you?
books,
Books. You read everything? You believe everything you read?
sometimes, yeah.
No, if it suits your thesis, if it fits in with your little rigid, what's it, thingamy? If it fits your rigid thingamy, it's all right as far as you're concerned. All I can say is she was a rotten swimmer. Perhaps a little bit of bisexuality with some Russian swimmers might have helped her. A trick or two in carving her way through the water. She dropped to the bottom. Luckily, a long snorkel has enabled her to continue her writings up to this very day. They're still being published, and not a mention of her what you call bisexuality. I personally like The Waves. Mind you, that's a silly title for a woman who actually perished beneath them. To The Lighthouse, well, she didn't get far, did she? Anyway, I thought of either doing Virginia or Sylvia. There's another person who sank, more or less. Under the bath, was it?
I think pills, wasn't it?
And bath water.
Oh, was it?
And, what else is another? Oh, a little obscure. I thought Norm could play the part. He didn't
When
have
you
to
get
say anything.
better.
He could play the part of Ian Forster. He wouldn't have to say much. I thought Ian Forster didn't say much after 1914, didn't he? He more or less stopped then. He was still, as it were, on a literary drip. But nothing came out. Except at blanket bath time. Anyway, Forster, all those people, Stephen Spender, I believe, you know. Well, he's still around, isn't he?
I'm interested that you're not actually, don't seem to be interested in Australian writers at all.
Well, only because I don't think they would at the box office. Now, talking about America again, I found that I got onto the wavelength, or they got onto the wavelength of me. I talked a lot about art. You can talk about Chagall in America and they laugh. You can make cultural jokes. That's interesting, isn't it? But you know, what English entertainer has thrown themselves into Broadway with my courage? Think of that. Name a few. Do you think Stevie was a tremendous triumph? You know, when little, what's her name, Glenda tried to do, when she did a little piece about Stephen Spender? Stevie? Why, they didn't get a man to play Stephen Spender. Goodness only knows. I suppose you're playing the young Stephen Spender. Anyway, you know, when you think about it, a great deal of courage. There I was for 6 weeks, people rocking in the aisles. Oh, 6 of them.
But do you think it gave you a new humility?
No, I think it added to my courage. I don't think I need a new humility, and I know my listeners or readers know I don't. You see, I'm not a professional actor. I'm not a performer as such per se, in situ. Hopefully, arguably.
Well, one last question, Dame
this
Edna.
point in time,
When you return to Australia,
my
what...
ongoing scenario is chock-a-block. You're very lucky to have any of my valuable time at all. I've just about filled up your cassette.
Can I just ask you what changes you noticed when you went back to Australia?
Well, Australia is one of those places that seems to have changed for the first 5 minutes, and after that, it doesn't seem to have changed at all. It's, you know, England is the motherland, Germany is the fatherland, Australia is the auntie land. It will always be so. Australia isn't so much a country, it's a neurosis. That's probably why one of its principal islands is called Tasmania. You ought to go there, by the way.
I've been there.
Have you?
It's got one of the deepest harbours in the world, isn't it?
I think so. I haven't read its cross-reference in Spartacus. But no doubt it has. I think something sank to the bottom of it anyway. Probably the only thing
We
did.
were very disturbed to hear reports of police brutality against gay people when they marched in the summer.
They ask for it, darling. You know there's a type of person, gay or otherwise, who feels if they're not punched on the nose by a policeman, they're not alive.
Usually not.
They honestly don't. It's like, you know, when you come out of your mental numbing, and believe it or not, both you and me, whoever, whatever Dame Nature has done to us since, we did more or less come from the same sort of place. Some of us like to gaze upon that place in later life and some of us don't. But when we pop out, and when we pass through a little mauve and magenta way into the world, the nurse, if she's got any sense about it, gives us a good old slap across the chops to get us going, doesn't she?
Yes.
Some of us don't get that little slap across. We go through life in a dream until the first policeman punches us in the teeth when, honestly, more or less might as well not have been born. And it's the same with some of these people in protections. It's not just your little kind, darling. The little newsreaders, it's gay newsreaders. It's plenty of people. It's the Save the Ocelot. It's the Peas Pudding Club up there in Scotland with the otter cull. If someone doesn't, a policeman doesn't say, now here, come along now, move on.
But in the case
They
of...
honestly get all cross. They come on, I dare you.
But in
I
the case-
saw some of those processions.
In the case of the seal culling, they actually got somewhere, didn't they? So
They got somewhere.
it is worth
I think
protesting,
so.
isn't it?
But I think there were elements, darling, who invited... Now look, there's a lot of police brutality. I think they have a hard time. I think you haven't lived very long outside England to realise that you're lucky to have some of the policemen, naughty though they sometimes might be. And though the laws might not have changed much since old Oscar hailed the wrong Hanson, popped out of his mother's you know what and hailed the wrong Hanson. A nice phrase, isn't it? I just thought of it then. I don't think things have changed so much. On the other hand, you don't invite the trouble. I think where do you live? You go and live in Kashmir or wherever it is.
But is Kenny still in gaiety liberation?
I beg your pardon?
Is Kenny still involved in gay liberation in Australia? Because he was a member, wasn't he, one time?
I think he was an element, roped him in. I think he had a badge, someone. You know how the nostalgia thing, they say, wear this, wear that. I am Gloria Graham fan, you know, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Someone pinned something on him and there he was wearing it, not knowing its full significance. I think that's leaked out and that's the reason of this whole interview. But I don't mind. I mean, you can say what you like. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. You can call me whatever you like. I don't care. I'm having a symposium or a seminar after the show, and I think that's going to be where we're going to get down to the seminal issues. I think round about 1 o'clock in the morning when my show is over, the real nitty-gritty is going to be happening in the stalls at the Piccadilly Theatre. I've just stepped off the plane, my jet lag is showing, particularly since I've been perspiring pretty heavily into my mock ocelot chiffon and kiss the body mid-calf. So I'm going to say goodbye now. But I hope you'll read us, whether they like me or they don't like me, will come along. I think any friend of Bette, if you can like Bette Midler, you can like anyone. It's just I'm harder to impersonate at parties. You need narrower shoulders and smaller feet to look like me, boys. Though I believe I'm done at parties, which is something I've said before. I'm saying that before you say it. Smarty pants. But I'm told I'm done at parties. All I can say is, I wish I had a more vivid recollection of it.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Dame
you,
Edna.
darling.
Thank you.